You can study for the ECL for days, weeks, or even months. You can watch videos, collect practice questions, and review many materials. But then, when the real test comes, your score still does not improve the way you expected. And if this has happened to you, don't worry. You are not the only one. Many students have the same problem. The issue is not always your English level. Sometimes the real problem is how you are studying, because the ECL is not a test where you just memorize questions and answers. It's a test that checks how well you understand English. So in this video, I will explain what the ECL test is in 2026, what makes the CAT ECL different, and most importantly, how to prepare in a smarter and more effective way. Here is where many students make a mistake. They study by memorizing answers. They look at all the questions, remember the correct option, and think, okay, I know this question, I'm ready. But this is not real preparation. Why? Because in the real test, the question may be different. The word may change. The answer choices may not look the same. And if you only memorized the answer, you may feel confused. That is why you need to train your understanding, not only your memory. A strong student does not only ask, what is the correct answer? A strong student asks, why is this the correct answer? What word helped me? What clue did I hear? Was it a time, a reason, a problem, a change, or a detail? When you start thinking this way, your preparation becomes much better. The ECL is mainly a comprehension test. That means it checks your ability to understand English. It focuses on two important skills, listening and reading. It is not a speaking test, and it is not a writing test. So you do not need to prepare for everything in English randomly. You need to focus on the skills that the test actually measures. For listening, you need to train your ear to understand spoken English clearly and quickly. For reading, you need to train your eyes to understand written English faster, without getting lost in every small word. The better you become at understanding what you hear and what you read, the stronger your ECL preparation will be. Students may hear about two ECL formats: the traditional paper and pencil ECL and the CAT ECL. The traditional ECL is a fixed-length test. According to the official catalog, it has 100 items, 50 listening and 50 reading. The CAT ECL is different. It is an online computer adaptive test. The same official catalog lists the CAT ECL as 52 items, 26 listening and 26 reading. But I want you to understand this carefully, because CAT means computer adaptive. The test experience may feel different from a normal fixed paper test. It can feel faster, more focused, and more stressful. So don't only prepare for English in general, prepare for the test format too. And always follow the instructions from your testing office or program, because local procedures and official policies can change. The main goal is still the same: to measure your listening and reading comprehension. Many students say the CAT ECL feels harder, but this does not always mean the English is too difficult. Sometimes it feels harder because the test is adaptive. This means the computer tries to understand your English level while you answer. If you answer many questions well, the test may give you stronger questions. If you miss some questions, the test may change and give questions closer to your level. So sometimes the test feels like it is changing with you. That is why some students feel pressure from the first question. But remember this important point. One hard question does not mean you are failing, and one easier question does not mean you already failed. The test is trying to measure your level, not to scare you. So, if one question feels difficult, do not panic. Do not let one question make you lose focus on the next questions. Stay calm, listen or read carefully. Choose the best answer you can. Then move on. In CAT ECL, talent focus is just as important as English knowledge. The ECL does not only test vocabulary, it tests meaning. It checks if you can understand what the speaker or the passage is really saying. In listening, you need to pay attention to clues. For example, did the time change? Why was something canceled? What problem did the speaker mention? What is the person planning to do next? These are small details that often lead you to the answer. In reading, you need to understand the main idea or specific details, reasons, and vocabulary and contexts. So when you practice, do not only ask yourself, what is the answer? Ask yourself, where is the clue? Because once you find the clue, the answer becomes much easier. One common mistake in listening is trying to understand every single word. This sounds like a good idea, but in the test, it can actually hurt you. Why? Because if you focus too much on every word, you may become slow. And if you become slow, you may miss the most important part of the sentence. In ECL listening, your goal is not to catch every word. Your goal is to catch the meaning. Ask yourself, what is the speaker really saying? Is there a change? Is there a reason? Is there a problem? Is there a plan? For example, if you hear a sentence about a meeting, do not just listen for numbers. Listen for what happened to the meeting. Was it canceled? Was it delayed? Was the time changed? That is the kind of thinking that helps you choose the correct answer. Now let's look at a simple example. The meeting was moved from 8:30 to 9:15. Many students hear the first time, 8:30, and choose it quickly. But 8:30 is not the answer. It is the old time. The important word here is moved. That word tells you something changed. So the new meeting time is 9:15. This is a very common listening trap. The first number you hear is not always the correct answer. And the first place you hear is not always the correct place. And the first idea you hear is not always the final answer. So train yourself to listen until the meaning is complete. Do not rush. Listen for the change. Listen for the final information. That is where the answer usually is. Now let's talk about reading. A common mistake is reading the passage immediately, from the first word to the last word without knowing what you are looking for. This wastes time. You may read the whole passage, but when you look at the question, you realize you didn't focus on the right information. A better strategy is simple. Read the question first, then read the passage. When you know what you need, your reading becomes faster and more accurate. You are no longer reading blindly, you are reading with a purpose. Now here's an example. The flight was delayed because of heavy fog. The question is, why was the flight delayed? The clue is the word because. This word gives us the reason. So the reason is heavy fog. Now the answer choice may not say heavy fog exactly. It may say bad weather, and that can still be correct. Why? Because heavy fog is a type of a bad weather. This is important. In the ECL, the correct answer does not always use the same words from the sentence. Sometimes the test gives you the same meaning using different words. So do not only look for matching words, look for matching meaning. That is one of the most important reading skills for the ECL. Now, vocabulary is important, but you should not study vocabulary as isolated words only. In the ECL, you need to understand words inside sentences. For example, if you see the phrase, a damaged vehicle, the answer choice may say, a broken vehicle. The words are different, but the meaning is very close. Damaged means broken or not in a good condition. So the correct answer depends on meaning, not exact words. This is why context matters. When you learn a new word, do not only memorize the translation. Put it inside a sentence, then ask yourself, what does this word mean here? Is it positive or negative? Is it describing a person, a problem, an object, or an action? When you study vocabulary this way, you will understand reading questions much better. If your ECL score feels stuck, don't just add more random materials. Change the way you study. Work on one skill at a time. Some days focus on listening. Some days focus on reading. And learn vocabulary inside short, real sentences. After each set, slow down and look at your mistakes. A wrong answer is not just a number, it is a message. Maybe you missed the key word. Maybe you choose too fast. Maybe you understood the sentence, but not the question. Find the weak point, then train it again. That is how you start moving forward. For more ECL materials, visit the LangVox Practice Center. You'll find ECL practice, ALCPT forms, vocabulary quizzes, and PDFs in one place. The link is in the description. Start today, even with a few questions. Study the clues, not just the answers.